You know the story of the Persian Wars, right? It feels like it's been etched in stone. A small band of heroic Greeks, the inventors of democracy, staring down this massive, tyrannical Persian horde. It's the ultimate underdog story, a battle for freedom itself. But what if the story we've been told for 2,500 years is really, really one-sided?
And here's the thing. Pretty much everything we think we know about this conflict, every image we have of those faceless Persian barbarians, it all comes from just one source, their enemies, the ancient Greeks. Guys like the historian Herodotus, they framed the entire narrative. And, they say history is written by the victors. Well, for centuries, that's meant Persia has been completely silenced.
Yeah, we all know the greatest hits, don't we? Plucky Athens, the super-disciplined Spartans, the legendary stand at Thermopylae. These are epic tales of the little guy winning against all odds. It's a fantastic story, but it's a story told entirely from the winner's circle. So that's the big question for us today. What if we could just peel back all those layers of Greek storytelling and actually hear from the other side? Well, it turns out we can, because the king of Persia did speak for himself, and he made sure his words would last forever by carving them literally into the side of a mountain. So this is our chance. We get to completely bypass that Greek filter. We're going to take a close look at one of the most remarkable documents from the ancient world, the official ideology of the Persian Empire, coming straight from the king's mouth. This is it, the Naqsh-e Rustam inscription. And its location tells you everything you need to know. This wasn't some memo hidden away in an archive. It's carved into a massive cliff face, right at the sacred burial site of the Persian kings. This was designed as monumental propaganda. It was meant to be seen, to impress everyone, and to broadcast the king's power across his entire empire. And just look at the details here. This is a contemporary primary source, carved around 490 BCE, which happens to be the exact same year as the Battle of Marathon. It's a direct statement from King Darius I himself. But we have to be careful here. Just because something is a primary source doesn't automatically mean it's the gospel truth, right? This document has a serious agenda, and honestly, that's what makes it so fascinating. All right, so let's dig in. How did the most powerful guy in the world want people to see him? You can think of this inscription as his official resume, a super carefully crafted self-portrait for his subjects, his enemies, and for us, looking back. Let's break down what he actually says. Okay, so right out of the gate, Darius makes his position absolutely crystal clear. He's not king just because he was ambitious or won a few battles. Nope. He's king because the supreme god, Ahura Mazda, put him there. This means his rule isn't just a political thing, it's part of the divine cosmic order of the entire universe. So if you're going up against him, you're not just fighting a king, you're fighting the will of God himself. Then, he lays out the sheer scale of his power. He makes it clear he's not just the king of Persia, he's the king of kings, the rightful ruler of this huge multicultural empire that covers the known world. And this isn't just bragging, it's a claim to universal dominion. You see, in his mind, there's no such thing as an independent country. There are only two options. You're either a loyal part of his empire, or you're a rebellious one that needs to be brought back in line. And this next part? It's just a complete 180-degree flip from how the Greeks saw him. He basically says, I'm not a cruel tyrant. Darius presents himself as this perfectly just and moral ruler. He says he rules according to righteousness, a word we're going to come back to. In his version of the story, he's the good guy. And finally, he wants you to know he's not just some bureaucrat sitting on a throne. No, this guy is an elite warrior. This really drives home the military culture of the Persian aristocracy. Physical skill, being a great fighter. These things were non-negotiable for a king to be seen as legitimate. He had to be the best of the best in a kingdom of warriors. Okay, so that's the image the king is putting out there. It's pretty impressive. But now we're going to look at how this all adds up to a masterpiece of propaganda. We've heard what he wants us to hear. Now it's time to read between the lines carved in this rock. So, let's recap. What have we got? The perfect king, chosen by God, ruler of the whole world, morally perfect, and a top-tier warrior. I mean, what a public image, right? It's flawless. It's a heck of a resume, for sure. But is that the whole story? Well, of course not, because sometimes the most revealing part of a story is what someone doesn't say. Yeah, the real clues here are in the silences, in the things he deliberately leaves out. This isn't objective history. It's an idealized portrait. And just like any perfect portrait,
The real meaning comes when you realize what's been strategically left out of the picture.
Okay, take this for example. Darius paints this picture of a totally stable, loyal empire where everyone follows his laws. But what was the reality? Well, we know from other historical sources that his entire reign was filled with constant, widespread, and often violently suppressed revolts. Even his claim to the throne was shaky. That peaceful image, it was hiding a much, much messier truth.
And this is the big one, the most glaring omission of all. Darius boasts about being this perfect, unbeatable warrior. And yet, this inscription, carved in the very same year as the Battle of Marathon, makes zero mention of the humiliating defeat his army just suffered there. In the king's official, carved-in-stone version of history, the Battle of Marathon simply didn't happen.
And this is what it all boils down to. This gets us to the absolute core of the Persian worldview, which was built around this idea of two opposing forces. Think of it like truth versus the lie. On one side, you have Arta, that's truth. It represents cosmic order, justice, and of course, loyalty to the king. On the other side, you have Druga, the lie. That's chaos, disorder, and rebellion. So you see, when the Greeks were fighting for their freedom, the Persians didn't see them as freedom fighters at all. They saw them as lie followers, people who were committing a cosmic crime and threatening the divine order that the king was sworn to protect. And that right there is why this piece of ancient propaganda is so incredibly valuable to us today. It doesn't give us a simple factual account of what happened. It gives us something much, much more important. It's not about the cold, hard facts. It's about the why. It shows us the ideology, the worldview, the motivation that was driving the entire Persian Empire. It explains why they did what they did. It lets us see the conflict not just as a clash of armies, but as a clash of two fundamentally different ways of seeing the world. I mean, just look at how differently they saw the exact same events. What the Greeks called a fight for freedom, the Persians saw as basically a police action to restore order. What the Greeks saw as independent city-states, the Persians saw as a rebellious province causing cosmic disorder. And the Battle of Marathon? To the Greeks, it was a historic, legendary victory. To the Persians, it was an embarrassing setback, something you definitely don't mention, and you for sure don't carve it onto your tomb for all of eternity. So what's the big takeaway here? First, history is never just one single story. It's always a collection of competing narratives. Second, even a primary source carved in stone isn't neutral. It's always designed to persuade you of something. But by looking at that propaganda, we can get a peek into what a civilization truly believed about itself. And that shows us that understanding why people did things is just as important as knowing what they did. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? The Persians just happened to leave us this incredible message. But how many other perspectives, how many other sides to the stories we think we know so well have been lost forever, simply because their rocks haven't spoken to us yet?